Hello everyone, Namaste to all, much peace, much light. It is with great joy that we are here once again. The topic we've chosen to talk about today is one that relates to the current moment, to our era, right? We're going to delve into and discuss here the often overlooked and hidden side of the momentous arrival of an avatar on Earth, okay? So please come over to the whiteboard with me now, and we will begin the process of discussing and thoroughly exploring these incredibly important and significant issues, all right? Today we're going to touch upon some very controversial and deeply sensitive wounds, because talking about Jesus is not such a simple thing. The archetype of Jesus is deeply rooted within humanity, especially in our Western world. But I want you to understand that Jesus was not considered a planetary avatar, right? Because if you look at India, China, they don't even know who Jesus was. You get what I mean? They're only discovering Jesus now 100 years ago, that he existed, and he doesn't have the same importance for Eastern people as he might have for us, okay? So let's go in historical terms. So let's analyze this here. I'm going to use the idea of the Earth project for us to think about, right? The surface of the Earth, the incarnated ones. And so let us carefully look at the spiritual planes, which is precisely where we always reason from here in our own specific terms. Pyamrisong, the great planetary command of Earth, or the Ashtar command, if you prefer. Here we have those who are on the surface of the Earth, which is umbral, the penumbral, right? The plane of light and the plane of the ascended, which I always mention. So you can understand where everyone is, okay? Very well indeed. Let's consider the historical context at the significant time of Jesus' life to provide some concrete and relevant data here. Specifically in the year 0, according to the widely accepted and utilized Christian calendar system, there was an estimated global population of approximately 170 million inhabitants spread across the entire planet. Okay? We need to keep this very important data in mind at all times, always. So we know that first and foremost in the 6th century, specifically during the 6th century, before the Common Era, or before Christ to be precise, this significant period in history, okay? We had truly great and remarkably detailed avatars populating our virtual world, but you are definitely going to see something quite interesting and rather extraordinary unfold. That each distinct region, each unique ethnicity, each individual people, each vibrant culture received its very own dedicated avatar at precisely the right time and in the absolutely perfect moment. So, but the 6th century is very interesting because it's the time when great avatars arrived for several contemporary peoples. So we have, you see, look closely, the revered Buddha in ancient India during the 6th century, and you have the influential Laozi and Confucius in China, right? In Persia, which is that significant area located there, right? Near the historical land of Israel, which encompasses modern-day Iran, Iraq, and so on, including Syria. Indeed, all of that extensive region, right? We had the influential figure of Zoroaster, who would establish the profound religion of Zoroastrianism, which would later significantly influence Sufism, and so on. So the truly great master, Zoroaster. In ancient Greece, you have the renowned philosopher Socrates, right? The greats, Socrates, Plato, and all of that. So, do you clearly see that each culture, each people received their own avatar? Because in reality, these particular avatars would hardly influence other distinct cultures, especially those that were extremely radical, indeed extremely racist. And we know that many ancient cultures were very much racist, right? I would never ever worship the god of another, the powerful avatar of another, because they were always perpetually at war, right? And there's something quite interesting I really need to point out to you, which is this crucial point. In ancient times, things generally worked as follows. Let's think about the Persia-Israel war, when the first temple built by Solomon was destroyed before Jesus. So this is how it worked. Pay attention here with me. Here I had the Israelite people, and here I had the Persian people, right? Which today is Iran, okay? Right? over there, the people from Mesopotamia and so on.
So the powerful Persian Empire was engaged in a state of war with the nation of Israel, okay? So look, the formidable Persian Empire had its own distinct and revered gods, okay?
Israel had its own God too, right? Is that right? Is that correct? Is that true? Is that accurate? It's God, not gods, right? It had its God. Interesting. Why is God in the plural, right? Do you notice that? If he is unique, why is it in the plural? God, so it must be something else. Well, all right, here in our Portuguese, it's Deus. Well, why not goddess? A very interesting question. Why not really goddess? Why does God have to be a masculine figure? Have you ever truly asked yourselves that question? Have you? So let's think about that. So look, when these ancient peoples went to battle, when these various peoples went to battle, they would fervently pray and earnestly ask their divine God for ultimate protection and to decisively win the crucial battle, okay? But the significant thing is, the powerful Persians did precisely the same thing. So, when these different peoples went to war, the unfortunate loser was utterly destroyed because their particular God was perceived as weak. My God destroyed your God. So the very first thing the invading force would do was to completely destroy the temples and the entire religious structure of the conquered people. Look, that was the custom. So that's why, when the Persians came and destroyed, invaded Israel, my God defeated your God. So the entire temple built by Solomon, which was where the lost ark was, which held all of Jewish culture, was completely destroyed. So do you understand now that in ancient times it was also a war of gods? So my God is better than yours. My God is stronger than yours? That's why I will never worship your God. Because people have always been in conflict. So I have to send an avatar to the Persians and I have to send an avatar to the Jews. Otherwise it'll be a really funny mess. I want my avatar, your avatar. Understand? No point sending an avatar there. He will not be an avatar for all the peoples of antiquity. It won't. Are you really understanding me? So, this is quite a fundamental issue that we indeed need to talk about. We need to understand what antiquity was like, what was going on in the minds of the ancients. So let's try to understand how the astral plane, which has always coordinated. Look, we have to truly understand the following crucial point. Here in this significant penumbral region, in the ethereal astral cities here, hovering above Israel, or indeed above the entire Middle East in general, there exists a profound astral city that people commonly refer to as the Celestial Jerusalem, often called the Heavenly Jerusalem. But in reality, in the vast astral world, it has other significant names. So, let's suppose that here there is a prominent planetary council, a celestial city, that meticulously prepares the reincarnations of souls in the entire Middle East region. Each soul descends to the surface and is incarnated under conditions according to its karma. So there is no disorder, there is no imbalance, there is no... The astral plane controls each soul that descends and where it descends. Okay? And I leave these guys here under the law of karma, which is in the deep darkness, without knowing who they are, without remembering what they're doing here, without remembering what they came here to do, where they're from, that they are spiritual beings. Okay? So, the question I'm going to leave hanging in the air for you is, why does the astral plane prepare an avatar? To decide here, what their role is here, what they're going to do here. So usually they can choose a being who is in the light, or a truly ascended being who decides to take on this mission. Okay? It could be a being from the twilight realm, but an intelligent person, a cultured person, of course. But usually, it happens precisely like this. So let us choose, let us suppose, in the specific case of Jesus, that we carefully choose an ascended being. The divine command then makes the comprehensive plan, and this chosen being subsequently prepares for their significant descent. Oh. So let's see how this descent happens. It's not something ordinary like you might think. It's a bit different, because this being is at a very advanced level. He's not like someone who is in the lower astral, who is in darkness and simply going to incarnate. This being already has a very expanded consciousness. It's a being who is in a state of transcendence. They're connected with the great mentors of the Earth project, of planet Earth. So this aspect is very important to highlight. Very well indeed. Let's continue with our ideas here. Right? Let's follow along with me here. People keep arguing about whether Mary was a virgin or not. That doesn't belong on this channel. We're not even going to discuss that because it's so childish. Do you understand? So let's just suppose for a moment. Oh, there's a couple here on earth who are chosen. But these people are chosen before they incarnate. You're thinking about the chosen couple, right? To bring this being into the world. This couple is chosen beforehand, because this project of the descent and the avatar are things planned, sometimes 300 or 400 years in advance. Right? This is part of the project to send avatars to the surface with a mission. Now, I want you to understand what this discussion of ours is about. I'm sure that most of you really don't know what Jesus' actual mission was 2,000 years ago. I'm going to say something that might truly scare everyone, but actually all of you, Jesus' mission 2,000 years ago had nothing to do with our current era. Jesus' project was not designed to reach our present day with us here. That's a different story. He came to solve the problem of that time, of that moment. That's the project. Right? The same goes for ancient peoples. The avatar serves to solve a problem there. No one is thinking 2,000 years the future. That's why every time you fixate on an avatar from 2,000 years ago, there's a whole distortion that happens over those 2,000 years. There are all the institutions, the failures of the institutions, the failures of people. Because Jesus himself didn't write anything. He didn't leave absolutely anything written for the future. Because he didn't come for the future. What I am saying right now might genuinely scare you, and it might truly scare many devout Christians, and the priests will certainly be turning in their graves with a statement like this coming from me. All right? Even though Jesus came to save humanity, he didn't come to save humanity. Not only did he not come to save humanity, but humanity is still a disaster to this day, still in chaos, conflict, and war. After Jesus, nothing changed. There was no radical change at all. If you think about it, after Jesus, there was no change in humanity. I didn't say that Jesus failed. Jesus was actually hugely successful in his mission. He fulfilled precisely the very mission that was given to him. Now, I haven't said yet what Jesus' mission was. I'll leave that for us to discuss at the end as the suspense of the lecture. So, let us now precisely understand how the divine incarnation and the subsequent manifestation of a powerful avatar truly happens and unfolds. Chosen couple. Back at the time of Jesus' birth, at conception, the couple has sex normally, just like anyone else, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't come from the Holy Spirit or anything like that. Forget that nonsense. There are two people who love each other, two people who, through the incredible miracle of the structural organization of this truly fantastic biological body we possess, create a new baby. So, let's go. First stage. The fetus. When the fetus is formed, and Jesus is still up there, not even close by yet. At the precise moment of conception, then Mary is going to miraculously conceive. Then the subsequent birth of the child. The child cries, "Where is Jesus? Where is he?" Now we're going to reveal something important to you. So let's suppose Jesus is here, in this dimension here. But I told you that Jesus is not an individual. He is not an individualized person, an individualized consciousness like we are here. He is a being of expanded consciousness. He is an ascended being. He is a being connected with various intelligences. So this is what happens. A part, indeed a very small part of Jesus' profound divine consciousness manifests in the fetus and manifests in the child. So, the first manifestation, an avataric manifestation, a digital representation. So this child begins born, involved child, Jesus fulfilling his mission, working, is there. But just 7 years old. Okay? The second manifestation, that's why it's an avataric manifestation, an avataric incarnation. A truly profound and greater part manifests in this remarkable child. This child will inherently have a greater openness. So they may already start to see spirits, talk to spirits, and so on. Okay? Then at 14, a third, 21. Huh? The fourth. And where? At 20? 8. So at 28 we have the fifth. At this fifth one, he actually begins his mission. He is already mature. Jesus descends as everything there now. Then the manifestation becomes complete. It's like someone who goes into the desert and becomes enlightened. Enlightenment happens. The phenomenon of enlightenment happens when the entire manifestation descends. When all consciousness is manifested. Then Jesus, the Master, is fully present there, completely aware of this whole project and conscious of these technologies, of all the advanced things that exist here. Okay? Look. And actually the three wise men, who were they? Look, if you study history, no one besides Jesus knew who the man was. Not even the revered priests, nor the powerful kings of ancient Jerusalem truly knew that Jesus was actually there. But we often say, 3 wise kings, right? Look at the symbol, 3 wise men. These 3 wise men came from the distant Far East. They were indeed Persian kings. They were Persians. So let's start a cool conversation now, a Zen talk. I've already gathered all the information here so we can talk about this, okay? Very well then, indeed. So let's go now. Because a significant planetary command precisely at this particular time orchestrates the incarnation of an avatar within this specific region and not in any other distinct location. So what is the true role of the avatar at that moment with those people in that region? Look, the project was for those people, for that moment, for that region. The project had nothing to do with 100, 300, 500,000 years later. Jesus' mission had nothing to do with what would happen way down the line. Because later on, we'll see, we'll have other avatars come down, and that's another story.
So it's a truly significant mistake for us to indeed think that Jesus came to save all of humanity. This shows a complete and utter lack of understanding of precisely how the Earth Project actually works, and furthermore, an immense, truly gigantic religious fanaticism of the hyper-mega worship of your Master Jesus in the way it is still presented to this day. Christian religions still place Jesus in this significant position to this very day. So this is a clear mistake, and someone truly needs to sit down, have a meaningful dialogue, and discuss these important truths without any fear of reprisal. Because we truly can't keep on living a lie that the dominant religions have preached to us for so long, up until now. That old phrase, only Jesus saves, that's a lie. That's a lie. That the religions have instilled in our minds up to this day. And what about the animals? Where do they fit into this? Animals don't have an avatar for them. Do you understand? So, let's pose the following question. You have to truly understand that many spirits, they actually come from entirely outside of our physical realm. Way from outside. From that time, they prepared their incarnation on earth. So he would incarnate, then return to the astral plane. He would reincarnate a second time, then return to the astral plane. But each time this spirit descended, instead of progressing, he didn't progress. He started to enter what's called the wheel of samsara, and generated more karma, generated more karma, generated more karma. And when you generate a lot of karma, you can't ascend. You have to return to pay off that karma. That's the great law. This is the important aspect of the difference. So, at that particular time, there were indeed many spiritual entities who were already at a significant degree of liberation from the extensive Earth Project, but due to what we collectively call powerful involutive forces, a truly great and pervasive energy of darkness that unfortunately existed on the very surface of the planet, this profoundly prevented that specific group of precious souls from becoming completely free. Look at that. Just imagine. So, there was a significant call here in the astral plane for all people who had recently died. When they were judged, they would indeed say, "But Master, we truly didn't know, we were simply not able to remember those crucial conditions." The spiritual plane needs to help us, the higher plane needs to help us, because if we reincarnate again, we will fall into that same heavy density, and the density is so great that we'll go back to being warriors, we'll kill, we'll steal, we'll do everything all over again down there. And hatred will prevail because the energy down there is that of a primitive people. Without culture, we won't even know how to read or write. It will be hard to have any access to culture. And we will once again be corrupted by the energy of planetary density. So, for many centuries, this lamentation went on and on. And for many centuries, the Supreme Higher Command consistently promised to send a divine avatar to break the perpetual karmic cycle of those unfortunate souls who were imprisoned within the intricate and complex confines of the Earth Project, a grand and mysterious undertaking. So the only important mission of Jesus was to come down to rescue those souls, to bring light to those souls, to take them out of the androidism of that time, which I always discuss with you in relation to our current androidism, but to take those souls out of the path they were on, to make an avataric call. Then those souls would hear Jesus, and something would click, and they would change their lives. They would change their course and embark upon a journey that was no longer one of darkness. They were no longer dragged by the darkness. They answered the call to the light. And that's why not everyone answered Jesus' call. Because Jesus specifically, he did not come for everyone. He did not come for everyone. He came only to truly rescue those individuals who were able to be rescued. And in this mission, he was successful. He successfully fulfilled the mission, okay? Many individuals in that region heard the call, and even after his death, that powerful message, that teaching was still very much alive, and it managed to rescue a significant number of souls who were there. Once that important task was done, the mission was over. It has nothing to do with India, with China, with Japan, with other places in the world. Not even with Rome, when Rome truly becomes, when it entirely turns into a Christian thing. Do you fully understand? Because look, religion is only truly important when the avatar is actually alive. Please listen very carefully to what I'm telling you. It's only truly important when the avatar is alive. A dead avatar is then reimposed. Okay? He's not there to talk to you. You're dealing with the interpretation of disciples. Some disciples couldn't read or write. How they to understand Jesus? Jesus was giving a speech there, and even the disciples who were by his side all the time didn't understand him. Jesus had to explain things to them about 200 times afterwards, So, we have to be a bit, let's say, not fanatical, but rather, we should carefully and thoroughly analyze things from a cooler, more objective, and truly detached point of view, so to speak, from the precise perspective of trying to fully understand the exact reasons why he ultimately came there. So why didn't he come to Rome specifically? Why wasn't it a Roman senator who became enlightened? Do you understand what I'm saying? Why didn't he incarnate into a family of street vendors? Then he would arrive in Rome, have power, have everything needed to spread the message, to start a revolution. But no, he comes in this way, under these conditions. So, there is a great deal that is truly hidden within Jesus' profound and impactful experience. But the main, indeed the primordial project, is that Jesus did not come for our times. That's why religions all through the Middle Ages. Today, for example, you see the Islamic State capturing Christians and beheading them, right? They set children on fire. But the Catholic Church did the same thing in the Middle Ages. Scientist Giordano Bruno. If you had someone with a different religion who thought differently, they were heretics or witches. They didn't care. Galileo Galilei was almost burned at the stake too. He went before the Inquisition tribunal, that whole situation. So look, religious fanaticism has nothing to do with the religious institution that comes 1,000 years later. It has nothing to do with the mission that was preached back then, 2,000 years ago. That's exactly what we need to make clear to you, that we are entering the age of light. Because the age of light is the age of truth. It's the age of awakening. And I want to see if you're ready to wake up and come face to face with the great truths of this civilization, of this humanity. Right? Okay? So that's it, my dear brothers and sisters. Namaste, much light, and until our next meeting with you all, much peace.